Alright, imagine this. You're just having a normal day, grocery shopping, grabbing coffee, maybe heading to work, and out of nowhere, Jeffy rolls by on a scooter, slapping his diaper, screaming "Ah!" at the top of his lungs. What would you even do? Laugh? Call security? Start filming for TikTok? Let's be real, SML characters are hilarious in their world because everything around them is just as chaotic. But what if they had to survive in our world? Like, real rules, real jobs, real consequences. Would they still be funny, or would things get terrifying real fast? In this deep dive, we are putting SML's most iconic and unhinged characters into real-life situations. Schools, restaurants, workplaces, you name it. And asking the big question, would it be comedy gold or a public disaster? Get ready, this isn't just fanfiction, this is what happens when SML meets reality. Alright, let's start this off with the most obvious question. What if Jeffy was real? Like, actually real. Not a puppet, not a character on a screen, but a living, breathing person walking around in the real world. I mean, could society even handle that? Let's be honest, Jeffy is the heart and soul of SML. He's loud, unpredictable, and completely unfiltered. In his world, that's comedy gold. But if you dropped him into a real-life situation, like, say, your local Target, things would go downhill fast. Picture this. You're walking down an aisle, just trying to buy some cereal, and all of a sudden Jeffy comes scootering past you at full speed, helmet on, crooked pencil in his nose, yelling "Wah!" like a siren. He knocks over a display of Pop-Tarts, runs into a grandma, then starts slapping his diaper right in the middle of the snack aisle. Now, in the world of SML, this is just another Tuesday, but in the real world, security is getting called immediately. The poor Target employees are panicking, and Grandma, she's filing a lawsuit by the time she hits the ground. And school. Oh man, don't even get me started. Imagine Jeffy sitting in a real classroom. You've got kids trying to take a math test, and he's in the back row eating his pencil and yelling out random words like "toucan" every 2 minutes. He wouldn't just get sent to the principal's office, he'd be banned from the district. And what about a job interview? Let's say, hypothetically, Marvin finally kicks Jeffy out and tells him he has to get a real job. So, Jeffy puts on a wrinkled suit, forgets to zip his pants, and shows up at a McDonald's interview with a piece of spaghetti stuck to his forehead. The manager tries to ask him basic questions like, "Can you work weekends?" And Jeffy responds with, "Can I bring my cat? She sings songs." I mean, you'd definitely laugh, but nobody's hiring him. Ever. Now, here's the real thing. Despite all that, people would still find Jeffy hilarious. He'd probably go viral every time he walked out the door. People would follow him around with their phones, hoping to catch the next diaper-slapping meltdown. Jeffy would be an overnight TikTok legend, a walking meme. But with all that fame comes problems. Because once the internet loves you, the internet also wants to cancel you. One day he's the funniest guy on your feed, and the next day there's a hashtag trending called #BanJeffy because he accidentally knocked over a wedding cake at a grocery store opening. The real world doesn't have the same rules as SML. In the world of SML, Jeffy gets grounded, maybe yelled at, and then everything goes back to normal. But in real life, you slap your diaper in a Walmart and start yelling, you're on TikTok, then YouTube, then probably on the news, and not in a good way. Honestly, Jeffy in the real world would be hilarious for like 10 minutes. And then everyone would slowly start realizing, wait, this guy's not acting. This is just who he is. And that's when it gets horrifying. So yeah, Jeffy might be comedy gold in puppet form, but if you saw him on your street corner, you'd be laughing from a safe distance. And calling someone. Probably multiple someones. Because real life isn't ready for Jeffy, and to be honest, we are not either. Alright, so next up is Brooklyn T. Guy, and if there's one character who could single-handedly destroy an entire city's infrastructure, it's this man. In the world of SML, Brooklyn Guy is a cop, a doctor, a firefighter, a pizza guy, a Uber driver, a plumber, a judge, a vet, a pilot, a zookeeper, and probably a part-time astronaut too. And that's all on the same day. This man has more jobs than a LinkedIn power user. Now, let's drop him into the real world. How do you think that would go? Spoiler! Horribly. Let's start with his cop job. Imagine you call 911 because someone broke into your house and Brooklyn Guy showed up 10 minutes late, half asleep, still wearing his pizza delivery shirt under his badge. He takes one look around and says, they're probably gone by now. Want a slice? Yeah, not exactly what you want in a law enforcement officer. Okay, maybe he'd do better as a doctor. Not even close. You're sitting in the ER with a broken arm and he strolls in eating a burrito saying, "So, what's the problem here?" You are trying to explain your pain and he goes, "Alright, well I watched one YouTube video on this once, so we'll figure it out together." That's a hard pass, doc. And the worst part? He's always exhausted. He never sleeps, ever. The man has permanent bags under his eyes and looks like he just lost a custody battle, got evicted and drank 5 Monster Energies back to back. In real life, this guy would get fired from every job in under a week. Hospitals would ban him, police departments would issue restraining orders, pizza customers would leave Yelp reviews that says things like, "Guy delivered my food and then asked to crash on my couch." But you know what? He'd still be famous because people would love to watch the train wreck. He'd probably end up on a reality show called Too Many Jobs, Not Enough Sleep. His whole brand would be, "I suck at everything, but at least I try." And we'd all be watching it, not because we trust him with our health, safety, or pizza, but because Brooklyn Tea Guy is the human version of a bad day that just keeps getting worse. In the real world, he wouldn't be respected, but he'd definitely be memed into immortality. He's that guy you love to laugh at, just as long as he's not in charge of anything that matters. Alright, now let's talk about someone who would probably thrive in the real world. At first, Mr. Goodman, aka the man who shows up to Marvin's house every other episode screaming, "Where's my house payment?" like clockwork. Every single month. Sometimes twice a day. Now let's take that energy and drop it into real life. Picture this, you rent an apartment and your landlord is Goodman. That's right, full suit, always holding a stack of $100 bills and a Bugatti parked out front. At first it might seem like a flex, he's clearly rich, successful, and who knows what he's doing, right? But then rent day rolls around. You're 5 minutes late sending the payment on Venmo and he's banging on your door threatening to evict you while throwing money at your face and screaming, "I own you." It wouldn't take long before he's trending on Twitter, and not in a good way. Headlines would read, "Unhinged millionaire harasses tenants over $1,000 rent while driving $3 million car." But the thing is, he wouldn't care. That's the scariest part. Goodman would probably lean into it. He'd be on talk shows defending his actions. If they don't want to be yelled at, maybe they should pay on time. And half the internet would agree with him, while the other half starts a petition to ban him from real estate forever. And it's not just housing. Imagine him running a bank. You overdraft by $2 and he shows up at your work in front of your boss yelling, "Do you know what this is? This is a slip of paper that says you're poor." Honestly, Goodman would either end up as a Wall Street legend or in federal prison. No in between. He's too bold, too loud, and too obsessed with power. In the world of SML, it's funny, in real life he'd either be ruling the world or causing international incidents. Probably both. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the man who hates his life more than anyone else in SML, Chef Pee Pee. In the SML world, he's forced to cook for Junior and Bowser, constantly gets yelled at, and can't make a single dish without sending something on fire. And even when he does manage to cook something edible, someone throws it out or dumps it on the floor. But what if we gave Chef Pee Pee a chance to prove himself in a real-world restaurant? Let's say he gets a job at a nice spot downtown. Fancy kitchen, high-paying customers, the works. It would fall apart instantly. First of all, Chef Pee Pee has zero patience. The second a customer sends something back to the kitchen, he's coming out swinging. Someone says their steak is overcooked, he's like, "Then cook it yourself, Karen." And don't even think about putting him on a lunch rush. One order comes in and he's already sweating and screaming. 5 orders in and he's passed out on the floor. But here's the twist. People would love it. Chef Pee Pee would accidentally go viral for being the angriest chef in America. People would line up at the restaurant just to see him lose his mind. They wouldn't even care about the food, they just want to hear him rant about how he hates his life and wants to quit. It would be like Hell's Kitchen meets reality TV, and honestly, he'd fit right in. Gordon Ramsay would either adopt him or destroy him, no in between. Chef Pee Pee in a real restaurant is a walking HR nightmare, but also a 5-star entertainment experience. He might not be a great chef, but he'd definitely be a celebrity chef. For all the wrong reasons. Alright, let's talk about the trio that's been holding down SML's Kid Squad for years, Junior, Joseph, and Cody. In the the world of SML, they are your classic dysfunctional best friends. Junior's the loud, stubborn one, Joseph the wild card, and Cody is the... well, let's just say Cody's got some issues. But what if we took these three and dropped them into an actual middle school? Like, with real teachers, real rules, and classmates who don't casually blow things up for fun. Let's start with Junior. In the SML world, Junior thinks he's always right. He's constantly arguing, starting fights, and turning everything into some kind of power struggle. Now imagine him in a real school setting, sitting in class, and the teacher says 2 + 2 = 4. You just know Junior's gonna raise his hand and say, no, it's actually 5 because I say so. The teacher gives him a warning, and Junior, he doubles down. Probably pulls out his phone and starts filming, screaming, "My rights are being violated!" Then, 5 minutes later, he's in the principal's office telling them his dad is gonna sue the school for being mathist. Now, let's throw Joseph into the mix. Joseph is basically the kid version of chaos. In SML, the dude lives on the streets, never follows rules, and somehow shows up to every hangout despite being completely homeless. He's funny, yeah, but completely unpredictable. In a real school, Joseph is the kind of kid who's always 1 sentence away from detention. The teacher says, "No phones in class," and Joseph's already recording a diss track in the back row. He's not doing homework, he's selling chips out of his backpack for $5 a bag. And yet, everyone low-key loves him because he's hilarious. He cracks jokes, makes fun of the teachers, respectfully-ish, and turns boring lectures into stand-up routines. But, let's be real, he's failing every class. And then there's Cody. Oh man, Cody. Cody in the world of SML is the smartest one, but also the weirdest by a mile. He's obsessed with Ken, his literal plastic doll, and spends half his time getting roasted by Junior and the other half trying to prove he's not in love with a toy, even though he totally is. In a real school setting, Cody would definitely be the teacher's favorite, until he starts talking about how Ken needs a desk too, or that he can't do gym class because Ken pulled his groin. That's when the school counselor steps in like, "We need to talk." And if you think other kids wouldn't roast him for that, bro, he wouldn't make it 5 minutes before becoming the main topic in the group chat. But here's the thing. Together, these three would still be unstoppable. Every school has that one group of friends who's just too loud, too wild, and somehow never separated. That would be them. They'd get sent to the office as a unit. If one goes down, they all go down. Parent-teacher conferences? A disaster. The principal tries to talk to their parents, and Bowser, Junior's dad, shows up in a bathrobe with a cigar. Joseph's parents doesn't exist, and Cody's mom is too busy yelling at the staff to notice Cody's trying to install a juice box vending machine into the cafeteria. In the end, the trio would probably get banned from 3 different schools before finally getting homeschooled. And even that wouldn't work because Junior would still argue with his online tutor, Joseph would try to hack the system, and Cody would try to make Ken the teacher. So yeah, Junior, Joseph, and Cody in a real school? 100% hilarious. Also, 100% suspended. Probably expelled. But you know what? We'd still watch the whole thing like it was a Netflix original. So, after throwing the SML crew into the real world and watching the chaos unfold, what's the final verdict? Would these characters be comedy gold, or would society just collapse within 48 hours? Let's break it down. Jeffy, hilarious for 5 minutes, but after that he's either trending for the wrong reasons or getting banned from every Walmart in the country. Brooklyn T guy, dude would have 16 jobs and still manage to screw all of them up. But hey, we'd still tune in to see what disaster hits him next. Goodman, rich, angry, and terrifying. One lawsuit away from a Netflix documentary called The Landlord from Hell. Chef Pee-Pee? Not a chef. Not even close, but he'd be a viral legend for screaming at customers while burning frozen pizzas. Junior, Joseph, and Cody, middle school's worst nightmare, but also TikTok's dream team. You can already see the edits now. Bottom line, horrifying for anyone who has to interact with them, hilarious for the rest of us watching from the sidelines. That's the beauty of SML. These characters are absolute disasters in every possible way, but that's why we love them. They're chaotic, unpredictable, and completely unhinged, and honestly, the real world could never handle them. So yeah, SML characters in real-world situations, 100% horrifying, 1000% hilarious. And we wouldn't want it any other way. Want to see the newest content of our SML breakdowns? Then slap that like button like Jeffy slaps his diaper.